In this time of the pandemic, where COVID-19 has crippled the world economies, where our government has ordered nationwide shutdown, where hospitals are overwhelmed.
Shortly after, the unthinkable happened.
I was literally stunned and frozen.
And their religious leaders are proven to be frauds. Where do you go to get all your questions answered and to hear what God has to say about this matter? You can only find the answers in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General YAHANNA. We give you scriptural breakdowns of world events and the up and coming world war. We will show you in the Bible where the children of Israel, who are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today, would suffer slavery in Jamaica, Caribbean, North, Central, and South America, and other parts of the world. We will show you in the Bible where God said he would send plagues upon the earth before he frees people from this captivity.
The World Health Organization has declared coronavirus a global pandemic.
We will give you the true teaching of the Bible, precept upon precept. To learn more, subscribe today and call the number in the description for I.S.U.P.K. Jamaica. Shalom. Shalom, Israelites.
Shalom.
The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and is run 1969, and is run today by Commanding General YAHANNA, the man with the rank and the authority to be the leader of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans at this time. I want to say Yahweh Basham Yahweh Barakatam to the brothers, Yahweh Shamar Ailatan Basham Yahweh to the sisters. Welcome to our Wednesday evening law class. Next holiday coming up, we just gone through one pagan holiday called Christmas. We have another one coming up called New Year's.
Good.
Now, New Year's seems so innocently, you're marking the beginning of the year, only for you to now know. Only for you to now know that it is not one, it is not holy, and two, mankind has never been celebrating the beginning of the year in dead winter. January is midwinter. You can't have a new year beginning at the middle of winter.
Right.
Throughout history, man has known that the year begins when spring begins. Right? Even in when they were celebrating, when they were in the idolatry of the Queen of Heaven. Queen of Heaven is beginning of spring. They observe that. So then mankind has never been celebrating a new year at midwinter. Always the beginning of spring.
Right.
So how did this oppressor comes with celebrating a new year? You see, they're trying to do everything to get us lost, lose us within the kingdom, their kingdom actually. If you check history, it's not so long ago that they changed New Year's to January. The New Year used to fall more in March. Most likely end of March, beginning to, well, about the same time as the Passover.
Right.
Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? So even if you go on the web, even the web will show you at New Year's, well, when they started celebrating the New Year, 1752. That's the year when the Julian calendar was replaced with the Gregorian calendar. And the Gregorian calendar is the one that marks the beginning, the change of the new year from sometime in March to January. All right. Was Janus. Accidentally change this thing. Okay, all right. Between 1582 and 1752, not only were two calendars in use in Europe and in European colonies, but two different starts of the year were in use in England. Although the legal year began on March 25th, the use of the Gregorian calendar by other European countries led to January 1 becoming commonly celebrated as New Year's Day and given as the first day of the year in almanacs. To avoid misinterpretation, both the old style and new style year was often used in England and colonial records for dates falling between the new year, January 1, and Old New Year, March 25th, a system known as double dating. Such dates are usually identified by a slash mark, breaking the old style and new style year, for example. So all these began when we were really in slavery.
Good.
They changed the change of the time. So it took them, let me see, it says between 1582, 15, 16, 17, little less than 200 years for them to decide that, okay, we're going to put it to January 1. But in the European colonies or European countries, especially England, we came under the English colonies.
Good.
They were observing March 25th and January 1. March 25th is closer to, is what, would be just approximately 5 days from April. So that's just about the beginning of spring. Or as a matter of fact, I think that's when the tax year begins. right when the tax year begins, when they should pay your taxes. That hasn't changed. All right, changes of 1752. In accordance with the 1750 Act of Parliament, England and its colonies changed calendars in 1752. By that time, the discrepancy between a solar year and the Julian calendar had grown by an additional day, so that the calendar used in England and its colonies was 11 days out of sync with the Gregorian calendar in use in most other parts of Europe. England's calendar change included three major components. The Julian calendar was replaced by the Gregorian calendar, changing the formula for calculating leap years. The beginning of the legal new year was moved from March 25th to January 1. Finally, 11 days were dropped off from the month of September 1752. The changeover involved a series of steps. December 31st, 1750 was followed by January 1st, 1750. Under the old style calendar, December was the 10th month and January the 11th month. March 24th, 1750 was followed by March 25th, 1751. March 25th was the first day of the old style year. December 31st, 1751 was followed by December 1st, 1752. The switch from March 25th to January 1 as the first day of the year. And then September 2nd, 1752 was followed by September 14th, 1752. Drop off of 11 days to conform to the Gregorian calendar. So they went through a series of steps. But why did they choose January? That would be the big question now. Why did you choose January? Now they choose January out of idolatry. We can tell you that that's what happened. They choose it out of celebrating their idols. All right. Now let's go to Exodus 12, 1 to 9.
Canada one gun. Canada one gun. This is the book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, verse 2, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
All right.
Verse 3, speak
so
ye
you see,
unto
hold on. So you see where the Most High set when we should have the beginning of our months.
God.
The Most High gave us a time and said, this month shall be the beginning of months unto you.
God.
Now, which month is it? Which time period is he talking? When we read further down, we will see which of the celebrations would mark the beginning of months unto us. All right, continue.
Canada one can, verse 3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house.
All right, so he's setting the grounds now and say, and on the 10th day.
Canada one can.
we should take unto us a lamb. Continue.
Another one can, verse 4. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb.
So if the lamb is too much for your household, it says if the household is be too little for the lamb, meaning that the meat too much. You don't have a big family. So one, you're killing a lamb, going to be too much meat. Then join with the neighbor.
God.
That's basically what the Most High is telling you. So continue.
Another one can, verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. He shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats.
Right. So it can either be a lamb or a goat. Continue.
Another one can, verse 6. And he shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
So on the 14th day at sundown, you kill that lamb or goat, male without blemish. Continue.
Another one can, verse 7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and the upper door.
All right. So, verse what then?
Verse 7.
All right. So you kill the lamb, you take it and strike it on the two side posts. Continue.
Another one can. And on the upper doorposts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it.
Right. Go on.
Verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
Okay. So we shall eat it with roasted with fire and with bitter herbs. Basically, that tells us bitter herbs is the season that you use. Your garlic, your onion, your scallion, your thyme, your pepper. You know, those herbs where you try to eat them by itself, it tastes away.
God.
Right, so it's called bitter herbs. But when you mix it with the food and cook it, it gives your food such wonderful flavor. So it's telling us to season the food and roast it. Season the lamb and our goat and roast it. And then what else?
Another one can, verse 9. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water.
And we should not eat it raw. Don't eat it raw. Don't stew it. Sodden it with water is like you know, when you cook them, either curry or brown stew or
God.
you know, one of those style. That they said don't do it that way, but you roast it. Continue.
Another one can, with fire, his head, with his legs, and with the pertinence thereof.
Right, so we roast everything and eat it. Continue.
Another one can, verse 10. And he shall let nothing of it remain until the morning.
All right. So yeah, we're going to 9. So we eat it all for that sundown on the 14th day. And what is that describing? That is describing the Passover. So the Passover is celebrated. We know that the Passover is celebrated right in the beginning of spring. So when you go back up to verse 2? Verse 2 says.
Another one can, verse 2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be first month of the year to you.
So the month in which we keep the Passover, that is the first month of the year. So, you know, you have some people that tell about, but after we don't know when is the first month. You know, there's some little stupid excuse for wanting to follow the oppressor.
Right.
After we don't know, we're not even sure we in 2021.
Right.
Of course, you know, it's 2021 years now since they start count.
God.
or since Christ walked this earth. Man start count. It was BC before that, and then it was counting down, and then we start counting up after Christ.
God.
So we know that much. So why we say things like, what are we not sure say a January? We're not sure which month and beginning of year and so. But it's only a stupid person who say that. When it's spring.
Right.
When does the earth start putting out new, either the trees giving you new leaf, the animals, you know, we in Jamaica, spring is every day. Winter is anytime the breeze blow cold. Autumn is when the tree leaves start drop off, any time of the year. Right? But at the same time, we know by every planter know that during that time, which the rest of the world says springtime, the trees bear more.
God.
All the trees begin to bear more. So even though we're in a tropical climate, you can still see it. We can tell when it's winter because the breeze coming down from the north start to get chilly.
God.
So we know that it's getting colder, right? Summer out here is anytime the sun gets too hot, which is almost any day. But at the same time, there is a period of time which is hotter
God.
than all the other months because hurricane form more during those times.
God.
All right. So we can come out of that stupidity even by observing the times. Right? But here it is now. We start celebrating the Passover. So it's in our scriptures that this time when we celebrate Passover is the beginning of the months,
God.
the first month of the year. And up until 1752, all the world was actually observing during that time as the beginning of years. Until the oppressor believing that he is smart, change it to dead winter. Right? And that was all in a plot to get us to worship, get us into idolatry.
God.
How do we know that that's what he wanted to do? All right, the naming of the month, January. So January 1, according to this Gregorian calendar, is the beginning of the year. So
God.
where did they get that name, January? Did they just pluck that name out of the sky?
Blah.
Let's call this month January. Well, no, they did not. So how did they do it? They cunningly name it after their god of new beginning.
Right.
So they had a god that was a Roman. It comes from the Romans, and the Romans they wouldn't have been calling it January because Rome speak Latin, but they did call it Janus. Or that god was called Janus. January 1 can be a day of regret and reflection. Did I really need that fifth glass of bubbly last night? So in other words, it's a day to look back and a day to look forward. Because this god, Janus, is just like the white man, two-faced. So they even put him on a coin. Here is he on a coin. with the two face.
God.
All right, so doorkeeper of the heavens. In Roman mythology, Janus was a king of Latium, a region of central Italy. So he used to be a real person, you know, who had his palace in the Janiculum Hill on the western bank of the river Tiber. According to the Roman intellectual Macrobius, Janus was given divine honors on account of his own religious devotion, as he set a pious example for all his people. So what happened now? He followed this religion upon this Janiculum Hill, and he became exemplary in his religion. Hence, he became like a star to the religion, meaning that, you know, the ultimate personality that you want to emulate under that religion.
God.
So they named the religion after him. Janus was proudly venerated as a uniquely Roman god, rather than one adopted from the Greek pantheon. All forms of transition came within his purview, beginning and ending, entrances, exits, and passageways. The name Janus, it was originally it was Janus, because there was no J in the Latin alphabet.
God.
So it was Janus. So Janus is etymologically related to Janua, the Latin word for door. Janus himself was the Ianitor, or doorkeeper of the heavens. So they start naming him as the doorkeeper of heaven. The cult statue of Janus depicted the god bearded with two heads. This meant that he could see forward and backward, and inside and outside simultaneously without turning around. Janus held a staff in his right hand in order to guide travelers along the correct route, and a key in his left to open the gates. So this was it all of its roots in idolatry. So
Okay.
come December 31st, when they start saying to people, Happy New Year, and January 1st, going all the way down whenever. Happy New Year, you start telling people Happy New Year, yeah, Johnny, telling them to have a happy Janus time,
Right.
which is idolatry. Also, New Year's resolution comes from that same religion. So the resolution is now you looking back and setting goals now to go forward. So that's why you remember when you're in school every January they talk about New Year, New Law. Remember they used to say that in school, you know, so which means, you know, all the man them who used to get trouble last year, stop the trouble now. Start take up a book, start do this, you know.
Yeah.
That's roots that was rooted in idolatry. War and peace. Janus is famously associated with the transition between peace and war. Numa, the legendary second king of Rome, who was famed for his religious piety, is said to have founded a shrine to Janus Geminus, twofold, in the Roman Forum, close to the Senate House. It was located in the place where Janus had bubbled up a spring of hot boiling water in order to thwart an attack in Rome by the Sabines. Or Sabine, yes, Sabines. The shrine was an enclosure formed by two arched gates at each end, joined together by walls to form a passageway. A bronze statue of Janus stood in the middle, with one head facing toward each gate. According to the historian Livy, Numa intended the shrine. So they make shrine to him, just like other religions. Over time, they add to it. So, this probably still worshiping in Rome openly as a religion. Out here, we worship it unknown. Is it people always ask? I hear people ask this question: is it possible to take the mark of the beast without knowing that you take the mark of the beast? If the mark of the beast is sin, then I should ask you, is it possible to sin without knowing that you are sinning? Is it possible?
Yeah, can.
All right. Is it possible to break a law without knowing that you're breaking a law? Of course. It
Yeah.
happens many times on the road. You're driving 18 and 50 zone, police pull you over and say, you're in a 50 zone. You say, but I don't see any sign. Then they tell you, ignorance of the law excuses no man. Meaning, you not knowing that it was a 50 zone don't mean that you have the right to break it.
Right.
In other words, you not knowing that you should not eat pork does not excuse you from getting the punishment for eating pork.
Right.
The high blood pressure and the other sickness, them still go and take you.
Can.
You not knowing that you're worshiping an idol does not excuse you from getting the punishment for idol worshiping. See? So you not knowing that January was named after a pagan god and that you should not have New Year celebration, that will not excuse you from being punished by the Most High for idolatry.
Right.
Here we are trying to wake you up, telling you don't do it. But you love merrymaking, you love fun. But there's a fun that is and merrymaking that is unto God, and there's a fun and merrymaking that is unto idols.
Right.
If you want to take up a fun and merrymaking that is unto idols, why, trust me, that's your dilemma. But this man now, Janus, was an idol. The gates of Janus are said to have stayed closed for 43 years until under Numa, but rarely remained so thereafter. Although the first emperor Augustus boasted that he closed the shrine 3 times. Nero later celebrated his conclusion of peace with Parthia by minting coins, showing the gates of Janus firmly shut. So when the gates open, it was wartime, and when the gates close, it signifies peacetime. So
Okay.
Janus is a god of new beginning. So you're either beginning to war or you're beginning to peace.
Can.
You're either beginning the year. So what they use it for now is to begin the year in 1752 when they made it official. But the month January was already named after that Roman god, Janus. He was a god, he was a king. So it was a god, like a god king.
Can.
So he was highly revered in Rome. The association between Janus and the calendar was cemented by the construction of 12 altars, one for each month of the year. In Janus's temple in the Forum Auditorium, the vegetable market, The poet Marshall was thus described Janus as the progenitor and father of the years. So you see the high esteem they hold him in. They said he is the father of years. So they make 12 altars in the temple for Janus, one altar for each month. So each month they will be sacrificing on a separate altar.
God.
From 153 BC onwards, the consuls, the chief magistrates of the republic, took office on the first day of January. So they use it in Rome. This was from BC, you know. Something BC, 153 BC. So they used to use it as that month for Janus. They use it as when the magistrates would take office for the year. So you're beginning at the magistrates beginning to work for the year, beginning in the month of January. At this, which the Romans called the calends. I suppose that's where calendar come from too. The new consuls offers prayers to Janus, and priests dedicated spelt mixed with salt and a traditional barley cake known as the annual to the god. Romans distributed New Year's gifts of dates, figs, and honey to their friends in the hope that the year ahead would turn out to be sweet as well as coins, a sign of hope for prosperity.
Okay.
So they would give gifts to each other at that time, right? So obviously it was more of a New Year gift more than Christmas gift.
God.
All they basically do now is put the gift down to Christmas. But people still give New Year's gift, right? And the New Year's gift that was given under Janus was for a hope of prosperity. Janus assumed a key role in all Roman public sacrifices, receiving incense and wine first before other deities. So even though they have several other gods, you know, they would give Janus first. They burn the incense and the wine, pour wine onto Janus first.
God.
This was because, as the doorkeeper of the events, Janus was the route through which one reached the other gods, even Jupiter himself. So he was the gatekeeper, you know. So if you're going to Jupiter, you still have to go through Janus. So you pour your drink and your wine to Janus, which is where you pour your drink and you cheers! Happy New Year! Man, me say there's everything Esau does have its root in idolatry, you know, man.
Right.
This was right. Even Jupiter himself. The text on agriculture, written by Cato the Elder, describes how offerings would be made to Janus, Jupiter, and Juno as part of the pre-harvest sacrifice to ensure a good crop. So if you're feeling caught between two worlds this January, why not head out and celebrate Roman style? Anyway, we can't stop there. We don't need to tell people to do that. So this article was written about 2017, 2016, thereabout. So what am I know? So this is the picture. You have the key in one hand. So this big key.
God.
And what they have in the other hand. It looks like fruits and so on. Right. Goodly things in the next hand. So this man in skirt.
God.
This man in skirt was the gatekeeper. All right, now go to Exodus 20, verse 3 to 5.
Yes, verse 3 to 5.
All right, Exodus 20.
Another one can. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
All right, so the Most High implores us to not worship any other God but Him. And here we are, don't give in a rat's, you know what, about, you know, we look at it innocently. Boy, we are go enjoy ourselves. Who business boat? And all me know say I don't know idol me a worship. I mean, if someone in a car heading east and you are in that car, aren't you also heading east?
Right.
Regardless of where you wanted to go, once you are in that car, you're heading in the same direction.
Okay.
So the Janus is originally the celebration of the God of new beginnings. So you're celebrating new things beginning January 1. There you are in the celebration and talking about why I got me saying no. Yeah, you can say any way you want, but you are in the same vehicle, the same idolatrous vehicle.
Right.
You are celebrating the idols as well. Okay? So talking about you a God you say while celebrating an idol is like so stupid.
Okay.
All right, continue.
Another one can. Verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images, slakia image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water beneath under the earth. Slakia.
All right, so this was a coin. This was not an image of the idol Janus, right?
Okay.
The image of the idol was more like this one.
Okay.
The image of the idol was more like this one. Right? So it say you should not what?
Another one can. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
In other words, you're not supposed to bow ourselves to any kind of image.
Okay.
So this was what they put in the middle of the temple, halfway between the temple, the Janus temple, him holding goodly things, or it could be a spear, but they have a key in one hand, right? So I suppose when they're going into war now, you would have the key, and at the same time, you would have a spear.
Right.
So they use him for, and you see, these was trust me, Esau coming from Isaac, who was a godly man. Trust me, he fell really far. He fell really far. So much so that he used all the idols that he came up with to number his months and his days, the days of the week, the months of the year, all Roman gods.
Okay.
Finish? You finish with what verse? What verse are now?
verse 5.
Continue.
Another one can. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and to the third and fourth generation of
Which
them.
means,
Slack.
yeah, finish it. Of them.
Of them that hate me.
And how do you show that you hate God? By breaking his laws, being disobedient. So you go out and say, as simple as going out and say, but I got a New Year's party here, you know.
Yeah.
You are showing that you hate God.
Right.
Because you're going to that party in this season celebrating Janus. Or in other words, serving Janus. Because it says you don't bow down yourself to them or serve them. So you believe in that idolatry means you have to go before the idol and you do the ritual of bowing and so. Not necessarily. Once you do the ordinance, you follow the ordinances that is unto that God, you are serving that God.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because we don't see God himself to bow down ourselves to him.
Okay.
But we serve him. We follow his ordinances.
Okay.
So it's the same thing with the other gods. You might not bow your knees to the other God.
Okay.
But once you following those ordinances set unto that God, you are serving that God. So now our people just serve the Christmas tree.
Right.
And now they are getting ready to serve another idol.
Okay.
Just 1 week later. And the Most High did give them a Christmas present, Omicron, where if you serve that, if you go out and have any merrymaking, you're more likely to catch the virus. So countries the world over went out and did celebrate Christmas. They are now gearing up to celebrate New Year's. And they're at such a crossroad where it's difficult now for the leaders to tell them, no, we can't allow you to do this because, you have the people on a lockdown and so for so long. So they are right where the Most High want them. Most High want to whip them.
God.
Just so that he can free us. Now the Most High said he visit the iniquity of the parents and the
Slovakia, it seems like Sir is having some technical difficulties right now. You know what I mean? And so, you know what I mean? Okay. Slovakia.
They're in a continuous cycle of idolatry. You have to break it one of the generations.
God.
By you breaking it, you'll be just like Abraham.
Right.
When Abraham was in Mesopotamia and the idolatry, these were the same thing, It's the same theme. The God's name changed, but the themes remain the same.
Right.
You have a God of beginning, you have a God of war, you have a God of the seas, you have a God of spring. They call him Queen of Heaven. You had the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree probably one of the oldest one. Nimrod birthday. Right? You have the moon god, the sun god. The names change, but the theme remains the same.
Right.
So you going to church on Sunday is in worshiping of the sun. And it's not the SON.
Right.
As they would want you to believe. It's the worshiping of the SUN, which the Most High does not want you to do. So, is it possible for you to be worshiping a false God without knowing? Of course.
Right.
It is possible. Is it possible for you to get the mark of the beast and don't know you get the mark of the beast? Of course.
Right.
As the mark of the beast is sin. So it's possible for you to sin and don't know that you are sinning. Does that mean that the Most High is going to excuse you? Not necessarily. When you said, why God knows my heart, well, tell you what, Christ said, take up the cross and follow him. He don't say take up the cross and think that you are following him. So that is showing action, not knowing the heart. We come and we bring the truth out to you. What do you do? Many times you despise the truth.
Right.
You don't want to hear the truth. You want to go after your own the lust of the flesh.
Right.
And when we talk about lust of the flesh, you know, a lot of people believe that you're talking about sexual lust.
Right.
Wanting to celebrate Christmas and New Year's is also lust of the flesh. These are what your flesh is desiring from you. I want to go floss, you know.
Okay.
I want to go drink and have fun and, you know, find to, you know, go on to celebrate. And go a drink and rock to music and beat some juice for the New Year's. Yeah. But it would be best if you do it another time.
Right.
It's better if you don't do it at all, especially now that you have the COVID around. But if you think you should, it's best if you do it at some other time. Don't go out and talk about why I have my Christmas party from now, you know. I have my New Year's party and go and drink and you may or may not get drunk, right? But the thing is that we end up in things that are just of the flesh.
Okay.
All right. Daniel 7.
Another one can.
Verse 25 to 27. So if New Year's was in March, they changed it to January. Is there any significant reason for that change? Let's see what the scripture says.
Another one can. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
All right, so that is one. Verse what then?
Daniel 7 and 25, sir. Slack.
Okay, all of that is 25. So his reason for doing all this was to change times
Okay.
and laws. So in just that one move of changing the month, you know, in change times and in change laws, because when the Most High gave us the month of the Passover to be the beginning of month, that was a law.
Okay.
And what did he do? He changed that And it changed that, thus changing the law, and it changed the time from beginning of from spring to dead winter.
Right.
Right? Great words that he was speaking against the Most High. And we're all the saints of the Most High. And indeed, right when that change, we were right there in slavery. We were indeed being worn out. Right?
Okay.
We were indeed being worn out. And just like the scripture says, he wore out the saints.
Right.
We are out the saints of the Most High. Who are the saints? Who are the saints of the Most High?
The Israelites.
Right, the Israelites.
Okay.
Who are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans of today?
Right.
So all the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today are the seed of Jacob, and are those that the Most High called his saints.
Okay.
And indeed, he did wear us out. And it says that we shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times. So for the and when were we given into his hand? What you on? You on your laptop?
Cancer.
All right. Google, when did slavery start?
Cancer.
And it is in reference to the North Atlantic slave trade. You can say that. When did the North Atlantic slave trade start? We are dealing with a beast which is sorry, unlike any other beast that we have encountered. This beast that we are dealing with is not one which is not one which is like unto other nations that have overthrown us. This beast is different. Find it?
Can search for a direct answer to the question.
What do you find anything so far?
I find couple, but you know what I mean, them now get straight to the point.
All right, let me see what I can come up with.
All right. I find one, sir. This is bbc.co. Let me click on the link.
Yeah, I think you say you're breaking up.
I find one. It's bbc.co. Slovakia. It says the transatlantic slave trade began during the 15th century when Portugal and subsequent other European kingdoms were finally able to expand overseas and reach Africa.
You got the 16th century, right? 15th century, which is 16 something.
Gone. Slakia, you know what I mean? Sir is having some technical difficulty right now. You know what I mean? You should come back in shortly. You know what I mean? So, like the article say, you know what I mean? Slavery began, you know what I mean? Our slavery began during the 15th century. You understand? Sir, you're back with us?
Look so. What's the year you find?
Yeah, man. 15th century. So that would be like 14 something, I think. During the 1400s.
All right. I'm gonna see if we can find out this.
Yeah.
So how was me type it in me find it? Many consider a significant starting point to slavery in America. Oh, put America to it. 1619.
Okay, okay.
Because slavery was always in the world, you know.
Okay.
So the starting point you're using is 1619. If you remember in 2019, in August 2019, America commemorated 400 under Donald Trump, 400 years of the blacks being in America.
Okay.
You know that?
Silaki, I didn't know that, you know what I mean? He did that. The commemoration, Silaki, I don't know
Yeah.
about that.
All right. It's important to know because, you know, what that did was to mark 400 years.
Okay.
If you remember in Genesis, the Most High said his people will be in a land for 400 years, isn't it?
Okay.
And right at 400 years, what started after that during that 2019?
The corona.
We have COVID-19. So the Most High was right on target to start the redemption of his people.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not far-fetched in believing that the Most High can and will free his people.
Right.
Because there you have it, COVID-19 right there on target. And right in that times and a half, when you check that from the time that they would have started in America, you get 1969 when the truth began. So we can't deny that it's not, that these are not, we can't say, we in the truth can't say these are not actions of the Most High. We know better than that, right?
Good.
But to the man in the world, well, this is just coincidence. The man in the world take it as coincidence, but this is greater than coincidence. All right, what verse are you at now?
Verse 26.
Daniel 7 and 26.
Another one can. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 26. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, consume and to destroy it unto the end.
All right, so taking away his dominion. What the word dominion mean?
Salakia.
So this beast that we are serving under, he has dominion over the entire earth, over all kindred and tongues and everything on the face of the earth. He has dominion over them.
Slovakia, dominion, sovereignty, or control.
Sovereignty or control. So
God.
he has control over everything.
God.
Well, we don't reach just yet. It says the judgment shall sit and they shall take away his control, which is his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end, meaning that whenever his dominion is taken away, he will not come back to have dominion over anything.
God.
Verse 27.
Another one, God. Verse 27. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is
Read
an...
over that part again.
Canada
Read
one.
over that part again.
Canada one can. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 27. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High.
Shall be given to the people to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans of the Most High. Continue.
Canada one can. Whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him.
All right. So we don't need to and all whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. So all other sovereign powers, all other countries is going to serve Christ.
Right.
Right? So this man now, this beast under Daniel time, sits and it's given unto him to have control over everything over the earth. So that is why they could change New Year's to January without a war.
Right.
Right? He could do that, and him can still tell you to celebrate. And they have, if you watch TV on that evening, you're gonna see the various New Year celebration across the world. And they count down 10, 9, 8, 7, right across the world, beginning with Australia. That's how far down his dominion over this earth spreads.
Okay.
And when we he has that authority to do all that. Where in the world is it still celebrating? Is there still the celebration of spring, the beginning of spring as the new year? Nowhere. Because even the saints of the Most High were given into his hands.
Okay.
But here it is telling you, have no fear, man. His kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. And when it is given to us, it will be in our hand until everlasting. As it says, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. All right, that's Daniel. Where else is it? Where else that you say? All right, so he did change the times and the laws. Go to 1 Maccabees 3 and 48.
Canada one can. Canada one can. This is the book of 1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
All right, so there you have it. They have painted January in our calendar of events. Isn't it so?
Gone.
January, the beginning of their new year, mark the calendar of events for everything that we do. We now have to go and rework the calendar to find when is atonement, when is Passover, and the various feasts and of the Most High, tabernacle, and so on and so forth. Because this beast, this oppressor, has changed the times. They did so from the book of the law, from the Bible.
Right.
From the time of Maccabees, they made their attempt. They accomplished it totally after Christ. And even so more fully while we were thrown into his hand for slavery. Isaiah 29.
Another one gun.
Isaiah 29. I need to go through all that. Let me see. I'm gonna read verse. Let's read 16.
Verse 16.
Yeah, let me see. Mark 16 to 20. All right, yeah, we can go 16 to 20 still.
Another one gun. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay, for shall
Right. So this is what the oppressor has done. It turned things upside down. Things that are good look bad. Things that are bad look good. It's bad to celebrate Christmas and New Year's, but it look good, ain't it?
Right.
Look at the New Year celebration with them bright lights and what you call it, fireworks and things. It looks splendid. Christmas, same thing, right? But you see these pictures going around with men, and many of these men are prominent men, prominent in terms of the position. Blacks, we're talking about our black men posing with them family in this gay looking pajama suit.
Matching pajamas.
You see a couple of them. You see, huh?
Matching pajamas. God.
I'm not getting it.
Oh, you now hear me? I don't know what the problem. You hear me? You hear me good now?
I heard that a while ago.
Okay, Salakia, I don't know what the problem, sir. Salakia.
Yeah, just repeat what you had said.
So, you know what I mean? Post pictures with them and them family in matching pajamas.
What kind of pajama they call it?
Matching, just like matching.
Oh, matching. Yeah. You know, just look too effeminate.
Right.
Just look so effeminate. That's what they put in them. Some men, black men who should be some strong black men who we should be looking up to.
Like you see and Bolt.
You remember I put a comment under one of them said, if I die and they put this pajama on me, I must wake up and take it off. That thing look too gay, man.
Right.
You see? But obviously to our people, it look good. Because the oppressor has turned things upside down. The oppressor make good look bad and bad look good. And it is esteemed as the potter's clay. Continue.
Another one, verse 17. Is it not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest?
Right, so the Most High is going to turn things back around. So much so that even many of the lands that you look at now, and that those are the farmlands, they are going to become the forests. Some of those areas that you look at and they look like that they are the desert now, they are going to be the fruitful fields of the future. The Most High is going to turn things back around. Continue.
Gone. Another one gone. Verse 18. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of the obscurity and out of darkness.
In that day, I like this part when I read and I say, in that day, because I know it is talking about these end times.
Right.
Shall the deaf hear the words of the book? When you say deaf, it don't mean that doesn't mean the person now that is under here deaf, and blah, 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 can't talk. That's not the deaf it is talking about.
Yeah.
It's talking about those brothers, those Israelite Jakes and what should I call them? Jakisha. All the Israelite Jakes that is deaf to the word now. You go and speak to them and them. Who you talk to? That is for you and your followers and your believers. But they are going to hear. Right in the last days here, the Most High is going to make them hear.
God.
And that's the one who don't want to see what is happening. He's going to make them see. Continue.
Another one gone. Verse 19. The meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel.
Right, the meek shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men. So those meek and poor, right here in the truth with them, now. Being the meek, being the poor men. Are the ones, many of the poor out there at the Jakes too. They're gonna have them freedom day.
Okay.
Right? They're gonna get their freedom day. The Most High is going to lift this nation up. All right, 20.
Another one gone. Verse 20. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off.
So who is that terrible one that will be brought to naught? Must be the oppressor.
Right.
Right? The oppressor will be brought to naught. So this is what it's gonna take to make the meek. What happened here? This is what it's gonna take to make the meek and the poor be freed. It's gonna take putting the terrible one to naught, to nothing. And by that you mean what? Take away dominion from him, take away power from him.
God.
You know, I will have to, I don't know if I can set it up for this Sunday, but we're gonna look in the UFO disclosure and match it with the scriptures. There is so many things that they speak, which is they don't want to give credence to the scriptures, you know.
Right.
But we can find a lot of the things that is happening in the scripture. Like before the Soviet Union crumbled and the UFO that went over them nuclear bombs and just took it over and could have launched it. And they were standing there and looking at their screens and things, and it was out of their control. They couldn't have done anything. They were looking at the beginning of World War III, and they stood up there and for about 5 or so minutes, and then the hatch just closed. All the hatches just closed back, and then they received some message that we are in control of your weapons.
Gone. Salakia, sir.
And all these they didn't talk about it. They kept it secret.
Okay.
You were gonna say something?
Oh, may I say, you think so World War III might start because it seemed like them afraid for pull the trigger. Salakia.
Well, that day the most I could have pulled the trigger with his chariots.
Right.
Chariot just fly over the nuclear arsenal.
Okay.
And open all the hatches with all them continental ballistic missiles, nuclear missiles, ready to launch, and then it just avert. I remember that was in the 90s. Remember the most I say, hold back the wind until him finished sealing up the men, his people. Right. And that nearly happened in the 90s. So we wouldn't be in the truth if that had happened. But the thing is, there is gonna come a time where there's gonna be a cutoff. Most are not going to continue just allowing them to go on and on and on like the song that never ends. This is look at the Omicron. Look how fast it moves.
Right.
It's just the end of November, but the 3rd week in November they discover it, and already it is dominating the world, and it hasn't reached its peak as yet. So imagine the next 3-4 months from now or so. It's gonna cause some problem.
Mm-hmm.
Take me again to what did we just read?
Isaiah 29. Go
back to Daniel 12 and 7.
Another one. Gun. Another one. Gun. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 7. And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and a half, Slakia. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished.
All right. So, aren't we scattered as the Most High people? We are in every country on the face of this earth.
Right.
Right. So, this angel that stood there in linen and swear. That was why UPK began in 1969, right in the times and a half.
Right.
And why COVID-19 come in 2019, 50 years later. Right? So the Most High is right on target. The Most High is right there and working. When it's the same way when him swear, so when we're in the wilderness and him swear, so he must destroy reader. He started regretting it, but because he had spoken, it had to happen.
Right.
Or maybe he could have averted us going into slavery for 400 years, right? But, well, there it is. He swore during Daniel time that him not giving them any more time than that time. And there you have it. We are the ones living out the times now. It's not easy, But you know, it's just the severance, the pain of severance.
Right.
All right, Revelation 12 and 14.
Salakia, Revelations 8,
12.
12.
14.
Another one can. Another one can. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 12 and verse 40. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent.
All right, so here we were now. We come back inside here in America.
Okay.
Rome fell. But when Rome rise up, here we were again, right out of the hands of Rome. But the Most High chose this side of the world to put us in, because this side of the world was really fruitful, you know. Yeah, man. So that was how you had like the Maroons could survive out there in the bushes. And the various, what do you call them now? The various Maroon, that's not the word they were using. But the various Maroon kind of groups that you had even in the US and wherever, of our people who managed to could hide themselves from the oppressor for a time, because this place was fruitful. We were nourished for this whole time.
Okay.
But it was just from the face of the serpent, in that we are not directly under Rome again. But, you know, here we are still celebrating Roman holidays.
Right.
But the Most I knew what he was saying, because the Rome was a wicked iron fist kind of thing, you know. Maybe we would build a Colosseum around this side if he was in charge around this side.
Right.
Because he loved them kind of bloody entertainment, you know. He loved to see it. So we are not directly under the Roman Empire around this side. But we have the holidays, you know. Still celebrating Roman holidays and things, because New Year's celebration of Janus, the god of new beginnings. That's a Roman god.
Okay.
All right, next scripture, that's Revelation, still Revelation 13, 5 to 7.
Another one can. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
All right, so that 42 months is still the time and times and half a time.
Okay.
Still 42 months. Same time period. So
Yeah.
it's so many different places it's in the scriptures where his time is limited.
Okay.
He's only given us a specific time.
Okay.
His time is not until another country come and take him over. So people were talking about China. You know, China doing some serious things here in Jamaica. You know, it's China why we're not getting our work.
You mean like regular
in construction?
Oh, in construction. Okay.
Yeah, man. And them out here.
Okay.
You see the one that came out here. You see the one that came out here and built the highway.
Yeah.
You have other companies. Them bring other smaller Chinese companies out, and then our private sector help bring other Chinese companies out here.
Okay. Because them cheaper.
So that's the impression they get. They appear cheaper.
Okay.
Not knowing that the after effect is worse
Right.
than the little money that you think you are saving.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
But the good thing is that they are not on the Most High's radar when it comes to having power over us. Who is the one that is supposed to have power over us? That beast,
Right.
which descends from the Roman Empire, right? Coming all the way down. When him stop rule over us, that should be it.
Okay.
His chapter will be closed, and another race won't be opening his chapter. We will be the ones to open and take over dominion.
Right.
That is what the Most High spoke. Verse 6.
Another one can. Verse 6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven.
Right. So you celebrating New Year's, that's a part of the blasphemy against God. You celebrating Christmas. You believing that the angels are white, like in draw them and show you pure white man angel and thing. When
Yeah.
the Bible describes them as being black skin
Right.
and woolly hair, and you stupidly talking about color doesn't matter. Well, you're just fooling yourself, right? So even them that dwell in heaven, he is trying to blaspheme. You know, this UFO cover up thing could be a part of the blasphemy also, because you know this the way how they show you the aliens and look big eye and
Yeah. Yeah.
white skin,
Gray skin.
well white, huh?
Gray. Them call them the grays. With big head
Which
and
in way, how does the Bible describe these angels in these flying saucers? Black skin,
can.
wearing fringes.
Right.
And it so happened that everywhere that there's been a UFO sighting, there it is followed by men in suits turning up to cover it up.
Can.
That could be a part of the blaspheme, them blaspheming those that dwell in heaven, because
Can.
it is coming closer and closer to the time when the Most High shall just burst open that sky and you see the place flooded with those craft,
Can.
anti-gravity propulsion crafts,
Right.
which they call UFOs, right? Now they call them unidentified aerial phenomena, UAF or UAV, unidentified aerial vehicle. They're not using UFO again, you know. Right? It's a phenomena, it's a vehicle.
Right.
It is for the Most High. We know that much. All right. How far we say we're going? 5 to 1.
7.
Revelation 13. Yeah, 7. 7 now.
Another one can. Verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
Right, so there you have it. We were in, the Most High has scattered us to all kindred and tongues and all nations. And he was given power over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Why? Because we were among the other nations.
Right.
That was why he got power over the other nation, because the Most High was giving him the authority to punish us. But, you know, it's twofold. After the punishment done, then we take his authority, then we're going to have power over all these kindreds and nations and these tongues.
Right.
So they believe that you know, allowing the white man to rule you is going to be best if they were resisting, right? But this is scripture, you know. This is how the Most High wanted it. He has given him the authority to have power over kindreds and tongues and nations. There was a time when we had it too, right? And the Most High, because he had sworn that he was going to punish us from the time of being in the desert. Because he had said it, it had to come to pass. So here it come to pass. So because he had said that he was going to restore us, it's going to happen.
Right.
So, you know, we should not provoke the Most High to make him say things. Because whatever he says is going to happen. All right, that's Revelation 13. Now take me now to Revelation 9 and 18.
Another one gun. Another one gun. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 9, verse 18. By these three was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths.
Right, so these are what some of the things that descend from the bottomless pit, you know, that the Most High allow to come upon the earth. And that is what is one of the things that is knocking us now within the form of COVID,
Right.
Omicron, you know. And all this now is going to lead to, or should lead to the Third World War.
Right.
I mean, if the Most High decide, okay, my people not, because it's really us, you know. It's when he thinks that we are ready. So if 10 more years and we're not ready, it will just keep having more virus and thing pushing us to get ready. Because it's all about us. It's not about the oppressor. Right? All that is happening in the world now is not about the oppressor. It's about getting the Most High, getting his people ready.
God.
Because that day is going to come when he's going to just lift you out and leave the oppressor to crumble. You see that how much $1 trillion they said they were going to spend on the infrastructure there in America? $3 trillion or $2 trillion?
Not sure, sir. Salakia.
I think it's $3 trillion.
Okay.
Now, infrastructure work, you use machine and things, but who you think is going to be the workers for that? Is you.
Right.
You probably start seeing him doing things like what China do. Prison labor. You have everything ready. It's just the Most High not allowing him to go forward because the Most High know his heart. So all you out there who love to talk about God know my heart. Yeah, God know your heart. Trust me, you don't want God moving on what he knows about in your heart. Just like how he's moving on the oppressor now, he knows what is in the oppressor's heart. Because when the oppressor gave you January as the beginning of the year, he had no good intentions in doing that. It was all implied to get you to celebrate idols. The more idols you celebrate, the longer he's going to own you.
God.
He has figured it out, you know. He has figured it out. Right? And the one who is behind it is the one who sits down there in Rome. That's the one that he speaks against in Revelation, which when say I'll put it again. The time and times and a half from from Satan, from the devil. Right? That's Rome, because they know that in warring you is not to send soldiers and so on and so forth on you. In warring you is to get you to celebrate these idols.
Right.
New Year's, Christmas. And by the time New Year start now, by February, you start to circle, whoa, there comes Valentine's, another idol. By a circle again, there comes the Queen of Heaven.
Good.
And then they give you a little break. Right? But the break you get, you're still gonna celebrate the Sundays. Give me the time to worship the sun and build up some money for the next times to come. But the most I have another plan for him, man.
Right.
Read on.
Canada one gun. Salakia, verse 19. Verse 19. For their power is in their mouth, and their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and Salakia, and had heads, and with them they do earth.
Right. For the power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. So this which descends out of the bottomless pit is going to cause hurt upon the face of this earth, hurt upon the earth.
Right.
Right? And it's gonna grind, and it's let Israel fire some missile and Syria again. It's gonna frustration is going to push them into war.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you can see the tensions steaming up, but you gotta reach a point where they just get frustrated.
Good.
You can't get to open up the cities to make money, and they just keep bothering right and just push them right into war. Verse 20.
Canada one gun, verse 20. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk.
So the whole thing is idolatry. Everything that the Most High is pushing against now have its root in idolatry.
God.
Why when you read the Bible all the way down to Revelation, this is Revelation, where we know that in Revelation they tell you about the kingdom of the Most High. But these nations will not let go idolatry, so much so that the Most High will have to put angels at the gate of the New Jerusalem city, so that they don't bring unclean things in the city.
Right.
Right? Can't bring no idols in there. Can't worship no devils. Right? Whatever these idols are made of, gold, silver, brass, stone, wood, whatever. They make them pretty, Yeah, man. The Christmas tree, that's an idol made of wood. The Kaaba stone, that's an idol made of stone.
Right.
The Christian cross, idol made of wood. You see the Muslim, notice the Muslim, they have the Eastern, what do they call it, the Eastern wall or Western wall, that part, they always see them go in front of the wall and them a bow and pray.
Yeah.
Poor thing, don't even know that is idolatry, them mean.
Right.
That is idolatry. But them praying with their face towards the wall, which is the only wall remaining of the Temple of Solomon, which is a lie, because the Bible tells you that all the temple's walls were thrown down. So none are left. Probably that wall is of the Herodian temple, which Herod and the others who came in Jerusalem afterwards, they built something, built it to their idolatrous God. All right?
God.
And it was the same thing when they had the temple at Jerusalem, they were celebrating Christmas down there and celebrating the God of new beginnings. It wasn't called Janus then, but the Greeks had a name for them. But the Romans didn't take on the Greek name because they had come up with Janus on their own. So this whole thing is idolatry. Next verse.
Canada 1 Con, verse 21. Neither repent they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts.
So all the idolatrous works plus the works that are doing among men, you're not going to see any change.
Right.
With all the plagues that the Most High sending against them and thing, the only thing that's happening is that the ones that the Most High choose, they are the ones that are going to come up. Those of us in the truth, those of us who supposed to come in the truth afterwards as well, those are the ones you're going to see some change in.
Right.
Even though we know a lot of men cock up their ass in the truth and not learning a damn thing, they're going to fall out. Drop right out on them face and the Most High step in them neck back, kill them. Right? And I, for one, shall not feel any sorry for them. You can't be in the truth and not learning, man.
Right.
You better be learning. It is to your detriment if you are not. Questions? Any questions?
La, sir, no question.
So with that, we pass the class to Priest and Officer Kayadwan.
All right, clap it up. All right, these are the ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and a commanding General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you'd like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation, that is the Feast of Purim. That is on the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month. This is on Monday, the 14th of February, and Tuesday, the 15th of February next year. You can find this in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20 to 31. reminding Akiam and Aquatium to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he needs to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, we say I medium, which means to stand. Saralapanya Apaka, which means turn, face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabashamaya.
Shabashamaya.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Aya.
Aya.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malakwatka.
Malakwatka.
Taba'a.
Taba'a.
Atazaka.
Atazaka.
Aya.
Aya.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Ba'arataza.
Ba'arataza.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Aya.
Aya.
Bashamaya.
Bashamaya.
Nathan Lanawa.
Nathan Lanawa.
Lakam.
Lakam.
Kal.
Kal.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalak Lanawa.
Wasalak Lanawa.
Kawabwat Nawa.
Kawabwat Nawa.
Salat Nawa. Kasalat Nawa.
Kasalat Nawa.
Kawabwat Yanawa.
Kawabwat Yanawa.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Tabayanawa.
Tabayanawa.
Panasayawa.
Banasayawa.
Aba.
Aba.
Awashainawa.
Awashainawa.
Maya.
Maya.
Rai.
Rai.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Amalakwa.
Amalakwa.
Wa'ala.
Wa'ala.
Wa'atapara.
Wa'atapara.
La'aywalamyam.
La'aywalamyam.
Amen.
Amen. In English, Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors.
And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory.
For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory.
Forever, so be it. Amen.
Forever, so be it. Amen.
Prayer for the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth, and all things living.
And all
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
That speak against us thy prophets.
That speak against us thy prophets.
The teachers.
Teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests. The Israelite brothers and the school.
The Israelite brothers and the school.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction to the heathen.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction to the heathen.
And shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel.
And shake loose the treasures of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the school.
That refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary.
Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
to the Edomites
to the Edomites
and the nations
and the nations
and their drug dealers,
and their drug dealers,
the court system,
court system,
the prison system,
prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
the Pope,
Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
Skinheads,
Skinheads,
Posse Comitazi,
Posse Comitazi,
the gay movement,
gay movement,
the lesbian movement,
the lesbian movement,
spies,
spies,
workers of witchcraft,
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space programs,
that's a space program,
Army,
Army,
Navy,
Navy,
Air Force,
Air Force,
Marines,
Marines,
Wall Street.
Wall Street,
Open up the internet and the airways,
open up the internet and the airways,
the cable access channels,
cable access channels,
and the radio channels.
and the radio channels.
Convict the spirit of any of thy people
Convict the spirit of any of thy people
that seek to stop us
that seek to stop us
and bring swift destruction
and bring swift destruction
to all the heathen
to all the Edens
that stand in the way
that stand in the way
or try to stop us from broadcasting your words
or try to stop us from broadcasting your words
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues.
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 Cause them to go to and fro
Cause them to go to and fro
through the earth
through the earth
and consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plague shake the house of the thief and the murderer.
Let the plague shake the house of the thief and the murderer.
Let Yahweh, Michael, and Gabriel
Let Yahweh, Michael, and Gabriel
come down with the flying saucers
come down with the flying saucers
and punish all the heathens
and punish all the Edens
that come up against us
that come up against us
as we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known by all
Cause it to be known by all
that it is the angels that have done it.
that it is the angels that have done it.
Cause it to be spread through the media,
Cause it to be spread through the media,
throughout the whole world.
through the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
In the name of Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh.
Thank you, so be.
Thank you, so be it.
Pray for the poor.
All right, this is the prayer for the poor. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai.
Baba Kosha.
Baba Kosha.
Nafan Lanawa.
Nathan Lanawa.
Akak.
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 Larapa'a.
Larapa'a.
Kalmakala.
Kalmakala.
Wakal Madawa.
Wakal Madawa.
Akak.
Akak.
Lata'a.
Lata'a.
Amatazariam.
Amatazariam.
Akak.
Akak.
La Aquayam.
La Aquayam.
Amafiam.
Mata.
Akak. Irakawat, Atamala, Agarashan, Bashamya Awashai, Tawada Aman.
In English, Yahweh in the name of Yahweh.
Yahweh in the name of Yahweh.
Please give us the power.
Please give us the power.
The power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
The power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to raise the dead.
The power to raise the dead.
The power against unclean spirits.
The power against unclean spirits.
To cast them out in the name of Yahweh.
To cast them out in the name of Yahweh.
Thank you, so be it.
Thank you, so be it. All right. This is the prayer for the blessings in the Hebrew. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh.
Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh.
Baraklanawa.
Baraklanawa.
Wayasharala.
Wayasharala.
Wa'a.
Waha.
Wayatsaparia.
Wayatsaparia.
Barak.
Barak.
Rapa'a.
Rapa.
Magan.
Magan.
Hagan.
Hagan.
Commanding General Yahanna.
Commanding General Yahanna.
The generals.
The generals.
Captains.
The captains.
The officers.
The officers.
Troopers.
The troopers.
The young men and the sisters.
The young men and the sisters.
Ba'asham Yahweh.
Ba'asham Yahweh.
Tawada Aman.
Tawada Aman. All right, in English, what we have just said. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones. In the name of Yahweh, thank you, so be.
Sorry, which means a turn. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher, men of Israel. Imadium Shabbat. Imadium. Barak. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Barakatah.
Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Barakatah.
Yalamata. Sorry, which means to turn. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sister, men of Israel. Imadium Shabbat. Imadium. Barak. Yahweh Shamar Alatan Ba'asham Yahweh. Yaramata. Class dismissed.
To our online viewers, remember, like, share, drop a comment as well. No problem.
Right.
Whether I good or bad, drop a comment. We'll respond. Remember to pay your tithes. ISUPK.com.
Okay.
Send the motion. Huh?
Salakia, and the Zelip on the screen as well, sir. Salakia, sir.
Hey, I think this Zelip thing, I must double check it, but I think I heard them saying that they're having problems with it.
Okay.
So I know they're probably not using it. I must double check it, because maybe we need to remove it.
All right, got it.
Either that or the app. There's a problem with something there.
Yeah.
But ISUPK.com is always up and running.
Right.
To pay your tithes. Send your portion, send the Lord's portion to him so that we can get to do the Lord's work. All right. So with that, let me share the screen again. Chrome tab. All right, so with that, you'll get a shalom from me, and remember to Like we said, pay your tithes.
In this time of the pandemic, where COVID-19 has crippled the world economies, where our government has ordered nationwide shutdown, where hospitals are overwhelmed.
Shortly after, the unthinkable happened.
I was literally stunned and frozen.
And their religious leaders are proven to be frauds. Where do you go to get all your questions answered and to hear what God has to say about this matter? You can only find the answers in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General YAHANNA. We give you scriptural breakdowns of world events and the up and coming world war. We will show you in the Bible where the children of Israel, who are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today, would suffer slavery in Jamaica, Caribbean, North, Central, and South America, and other parts of the world. We will show you in the Bible where God said he would send plagues upon the earth before he frees people from this captivity.
The World Health Organization has declared coronavirus a global pandemic.
We will give you the true teaching of the Bible, precept upon precept. To learn more, subscribe today and call the number in the description for I.S.U.P.K Jamaica. Shalom.